Welcome to Tendo Teens Hub, where we inspire, learn, and connect. I am your host today, Ronald Regan Ochieng. So, today we're going to be talking about conflict between parents and teenagers. Of course, I'm still not 20, I am a teenager. Of course, it's somewhere there. But what we're talking about today is how to handle that conflict, things that cause that conflict. I have, of course, grown. I'm still in the process of growing. And this is my experience based on the things that I've seen and how I feel like some things should be handled. So, what actually causes for me, some of the things that actually cause conflict between parents and teenagers, and I know that if you're watching this, you're probably relating with me right now, is it usually reaches a certain point where as a teen you feel like you know so many things, like probably your parents are undermining you, and that begins to cause some tension between you and your parent. But here today I'm just talking about how we can make sure that we're living better with our parents within the same environment. So the first thing that I've seen usually causes a lot of conflict. For instance, for me the first time was probably such things as hairstyle, our outward experiences, appearances rather. Because for instance, before I shaved my hair like this, I used to shave it like all of it, ilkwanga Jordan. Yeah, because that is what my parents said looks best on me. So when I tried out this new look, it was like, I was defying them. But then my mom was a bit understanding and she was like, if it makes you happy, then okay. Yeah, that was about appearances. For some parents usually refuse kutoboa maski, especially for the ladies. They don't want to see them wearing such different types of clothings and such things. But what I feel is like a solution towards that is to actually have like a talk. You sit down with your parents and you try to reach a consensus. You like negotiate with them what you want, and then you arrive at a healthy conclusion. Another thing that causes a lot of conflict is the phone. Yeah, especially the phones, and particularly during meal times. As in, I usually remove my phone, then my mom is like, no, not at the table. Most of the time, she's talking to me, I'm looking at my phone, and it causes a lot of tension between us. And I'm sure it is just not me alone, but also a lot of teenagers, because we're trying to keep up, tunaangalia nini inaendelea Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and not really Facebook, tunakwanga IG sana sana, yeah. And I believe that to solve this little conflict that is there because of social media and using of our phones, taking away phones doesn't really help as much. But when you talk to me about how I'm supposed to use my phone, when and when not, then I believe that we reach at a much better conclusion. Like for instance, with my mom, we agreed that whenever we are at the dinner table, then there's no using of phones. Whenever she's addressing me, then it is only respectable to put down my phone and then listen to her. So I believe such things can help us to interact better with our parents, because we are so much locked within our screens that we don't really know our parents for who they are. Like we don't have that time to talk to them. Some of us, other than being told who did this, who did that, what do you need, we don't really have more conversations with our parents. And then another conflict, something that usually causes a lot of tension, is I think the friends that we hang out with. Sometimes your parents are like, hey, I'm seeing this friend of yours and I don't like that friend for you. And that one is usually tough because we usually say that, oh, mom doesn't know this person, dad doesn't know this person, he's like a really cool guy. But what I realized is, there's usually this saying that whatever an old man sees, even if you climb on top of a mountain, you cannot see. So most of the time, I believe listening to the advice that they give, especially when it comes to friends, because friends actually influence who you are. Because I think the Bible in the book of Proverbs says, "Show me your friends, and I'll tell you the type of person that you are." And if your parent says that this person is not good for you or he's not comfortable with your friendship, I believe that evaluating that friendship is a bit healthy. Listening to your parents, that one will boost your relationship more with them. If you feel like your parents are wrongly judging this person, then you can at least create a forum. You can invite them over, let them meet your parents, and then they can talk a bit more, get to know each other, so that you can avoid that idea of mistrust between you and your parents. That one is my view, and I think it has worked for not only me but for some other friends of mine, rather than just disregarding whatever your parent is saying. And then another conflict, I think those ones are about three or four. I'm going to do five of them. And then another conflict that is usually there most of the time is when it comes to house chores. I mean, personally, I'm not, I can't say I'm the most hardworking person in the house. So, of course, there's usually that aspect of, mbona hujaosha vyombo, mbona you haven't done this and this. But I usually try my best because, of course, I live in that house, so I have to help out, and that one brings a lot of conflict because mom says do this and then I get distracted, I end up not doing it. But I believe that personal responsibility, if you feel responsible for the environment that you're living in, when your mom tells you or your dad tells you do this, do that, then obeying them will help you live well with them. Like, ever since I joined high school, I became a bit more responsible. And that shouting of, you haven't done this, I told you to do this, hujafanya hivi, hizi haiko sana. We don't have that much of a conflict because I do as I am told within the right time. And if I don't, I realize that apologizing and then doing it it does not really cause a huge problem because it shows that you've learned from your mistake and then you don't repeat it again. Then another thing would be curfew, the curfew time that parents set on us teenagers. Yeah, like your mom or your parents tell you by 6 in the evening, I want you in my house. If you're not here, you'll have a lot of explaining to do. That one, I feel it just causes a lot of rebellion within us. And a big solution would be sitting down with me, getting to know if I am late at that 6, where am I usually at, so that I'm not really in the wrong places, destroying myself or destroying the good work that the parents have been trying to instill in me. So talking to them, agreeing with them, a good time frame where I don't feel as though my parents are oppressing me or they're making me feel like a prisoner to them, so that I am more free to express myself. Even if I am late outside, I don't feel too afraid to tell them what exactly is happening. And so, all in all, when it comes to resolving these conflicts, the biggest thing is usually communication. Because if you're communicating well, like you're telling me this is what you expect of me, as in I have a picture of what you require for me, then it becomes a bit easier for me to be able to please you or to do as you want. Because we can't live if you're not really telling me what you're thinking and such like things. That is why communication is important between the parent and the teenager, because also there are a lot of things that as teenagers we go through, and hearing a piece of advice from our parents will really help a lot. Because rarely do we ever, for most teenagers, they rarely have that conversation with their parents where, I'm at this point in my life, I feel like it is difficult, and then your parent, you know motivates you a bit to move much further. We usually go for help in other places because that is where we feel a bit more comfortable. But because we don't communicate as much with our parents, or whenever we are talking with them, it is like it is a fight. So I believe that communication is key. And also, upon as teenagers, it's also important to obey. When your parent is telling you something, to have that desire to obey whatever they're telling you, because they're older, they have been where you've been, they've made mistakes of their own, and probably if they're telling you not to do this and that, it is probably because they did it and they did not like the consequences which they face, and understand that your parents want the best for you. And then another solution, I believe, is understanding that you're both on the same line. Like, you don't view your parents as your enemy, neither does your parent view you as your enemy. The funny thing about family is, family are the people that we never chose in our lives. Like, we just were born and we found them there. Like, they had no option other than to love us, by the way. That is why I'm saying, don't view your parents as your enemy, or don't view your child as an enemy. We are people who love each other because Ivo tu bure tu, there is no condition to that love that you find within our family. So being comfortable with your child, telling him, I don't want this friend of yours because of this, and this, and this. That element of explaining something, so that it's just not a dictatorship because I said so, and such like things. Yeah, I believe that is all I have for today. Thank you once again. Don't forget to like, engage us up with our comments. Our handles ziko tu hapa hivi chini. And connect with us hapo tu chini. Engage with us. We have so much in store for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.